At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality bikes, which might lead to another discovery. Getting back on the saddle isn't always comfortable. Good news is Sierra has massage guns. And chafe wipes, too. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
This episode is brought to you by Atlassian. Atlassian makes the team collaboration software that powers enterprise businesses around the world, including over 80% of the Fortune 500. With Atlassian's AI-powered software like Jira, Confluence, and Loom, you'll have more time to do the work that matters. In fact, Atlassian customers experience a 25% reduction in project duration per year. Unleash the potential of your team at Atlassian.com. Atlassian.
I'm Candice Lim.
And I'm Lindsay. And you're listening to ICYMI.
In case you missed it.
Slate's podcast about internet culture.
And Kate, I don't know about you, but I have this feeling that 2025 is going to be BAD bad. Do you get that sense too?
I don't know what about this past month would make you come to that conclusion.
I mean, look, sometimes it feels like we've been here before. Other times it feels even heavier this time around. But I have a theory, a possible solution for getting through this year. Can I share it with you?
Absolutely. Absolutely, you must.
So my hot take is that if we cannot safely be on Twitter or TikTok, if the grass people tell us to touch is on fire and burnt and the news is overwhelming and frustrating, I wonder if the best way to get through this year will be through memes.
Okay, and when you say memes, do you mean making memes? Do you mean seeking out the memes? Are you going to become a meme?
I would love to become a meme because then I would be going on the Ellen Show of 2025, aka Jennifer Hudson Show. But
I was wondering where you were going to go with that.
I know. All of it. I mean, I think that memes kind of transcend time. You know, you don't exactly know when a meme was made, but you use it for years to come. So I'm thinking of Math Lady. I'm thinking of the way Doge is literally in the news right now. I just think that memes are kind of this time capsule that take us back to an earlier era of the internet. I'm going to say like 2012, 2016-ish, while providing that like one drop of dopamine or that one laugh that we need to get through the day, you know?
I identify strongly with the idea of memes as a coping mechanism because I remember as lockdown was hitting, I remember I went out to birthday drinks and the world shut down around us as we were there. And safe to say, I was not in a great place mentally. And I remember the first time I laughed, like genuinely laughed, not because I was distracted, but like by my own circumstances. And it was because there was this meme that someone posted, I think it was on Instagram, and it was a picture of Adele like enthusiastically waving out a window.
Oh,
and it was captioned something like me in 2 weeks when I see a plastic bag float across the street. And I just remember like genuinely laughing for the first time. It was such a relief to laugh, especially to laugh at what was currently happening.
Yeah, that reminds me of Adele sitting courtside at an NBA game pretending the camera isn't on her meme. Like,
yes,
Adele is always at the scene of the meme crime. But I think you are right. I think memes during the lockdown were a way for people to laugh while actively processing like what was happening in real time, which was literally like traumatic and tragic.
Yeah, especially if you're someone who likes dark humor. I think memes are a really great vessel for that. And yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes either by making them or just by seeing sort of the comedic light of your circumstances, it's a little bit of a way of processing what's happening in the outside world. Maybe it's sort of untangling our inner dialogues. Maybe a meme is the thing that makes it all make sense for you.
And I feel like I want to dig into that more because on today's episode, we're bringing in meme historian Aidan Walker to help us understand the history, layers, and positives of meme culture in our daily lives. We'll be right back. It's always fun to dive into the latest rumors, like who's dating who and who will be on the next season of our favorite show. Well, here's one rumor to squash: the idea that Discover isn't widely accepted. Truth is, Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. That means it's accepted basically anywhere across the country. Don't pay attention to every rumor out there, but remember, it does pay to discover, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard. Maybe you like keeping your money where you can see it. Unfortunately, big wireless carriers like keeping your money too. If you're fed up with crazy high bills, bogus fees, and quote-unquote free perks that cost more in the long run, switch to Mint Mobile. I have been on Mint Mobile's unlimited plan, and I really, really like it as a product and service. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone and bring your number along with your contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/ICYMI. That's mintmobile.com/ICYMI. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month, 5GB plan required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Hey there! If you love our podcast, then maybe you should consider subscribing to Slate Plus to immediately unlock bonus episodes. Plus, you'll access ad-free listening across all your favorite Slate podcasts, including bi-weekly bonus episodes of our show. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts by clicking Try Free at the top of our show page, or visit slate.com/ICYMI Plus to get access wherever you listen. And we're back.
So I'm really excited because we are joined by someone who is a student, an academic of meme history. He writes a great Substack called How to Do Things with Memes. He is a meme historian and a former editor at Know Your Meme. You can also find him on TikTok under @Aidan, etc. It's Aidan Walker. Hello, Aidan.
Happy to be here. Good to see you, Candice and Kate.
I'm so excited to talk to you about everything because I do get the impression, just from a glance at your Substack even, that everything that has ever happened on the internet is stored in your brain somehow, which is why I know this next question might be a difficult one, but it's what we ask everyone when they come on the show. What is your first internet memory?
The first internet memory has to be Farmville. It was a Facebook game.
Yeah.
My dad was like an early Facebook addict. You know, this is like the aughts. I am probably 8 years old or something. And there was something where, like, if one of your friends, if you're the one to recommend them to get onto Farmville, you get like an extra cow that was like a special color. And so he wanted his extra special cow. And so I made an account and I signed up to Farmville. My father told me to make a Facebook
I was going to say,
account.
your dad got you on Facebook because he wanted a cow.
In Farmville, yeah.
Yeah.
And I got into it, you know, I was growing my corn. You know, you'd have to log on at certain times to like water it to make sure everything was good on the farm. You could decorate it different colors. And I remember being like very upset that one time, like we were on a road trip or something, so I didn't get to check my crops and they died.
Yeah.
It kind of got shitified over time because like people would just pay real life money and they'd get like all the special cows, and then you
It's
just
like
couldn't
when you use
rival them.
Motherload on The Sims. It's like I get the impulse, but then the game does become kind of boring when you get whatever you want. Food for thought.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I really like that internet memory. And Aidan, I'm so glad you're here because today we're going to talk about our favorite memes and how we can analyze them smartly in 2025.
But before we get into that, let's just ask the basic question of what are memes? How do we define what a meme is? Because it kind of feels like in many ways the term is a catch-all for just things that have happened online, because I've seen people use the word meme about GIFs or TikTok audios, even like the blue gold dress. People will say it was a meme. So Aidan, how do you define meme?
That's like a can of worms, but going from the academic kind of, you know, history of the term thing, it begins with Richard Dawkins, who is cringe and, you know, coined the term in the 70s before the internet really existed. And in that sense, the meme was literally everything. So he's like, it's any piece of cultural information, a dance, a way of making a basket, a certain musical motif or something. So because that definition encompasses everything, it sort of means nothing. And so I tend to go with this 2013 definition by this academic Lamore Schiffman that says a meme is, a group of digital objects that share certain attributes of content, form, and stance. And so it's a group. It's not like a one-off viral post like the dress, for example. It shares certain ideas of content, form, and stance. So it could have, the same elements in place. It could have sort of the same view on something, the same kind of arrangement of image or text. And as sort of a rule of thumb, what I kind of add on to that when I'm doing my own work with memes is I always like to think there's a constant part that everybody's doing all together. So like with a image macro meme, like say distracted boyfriend, everyone's using the same picture more or less.
Yeah.
But then there's a part that you sort of are allowed to change. In a distracted boyfriend, it's the text you put on the images. And I almost see it almost as like a math equation in a weird way. Like I was horrible at math, but like y equals mx plus b, and there's certain variables you can fill in x, however, but you have this shape that you then fill in, and you think of like a TikTok dance, then the constant part, it's the audio, some of the choreography. The changing part is, you doing the dance, where you're at, the situation you're in, the people you're with. And so a meme is always this joining of, here's the communal thing we share that we all do together, but then you have your little place to do your own thing.
My brain's already blown. Like literally every word you said, it was galaxy brain of like, I'm blasted. Can I ask a question to both of you? Is a meme if it is not shared? So for example, if I were to take a photo of, let's say, Pepe, and I were to put my own words on it, and I never shared it, is it still considered a meme?
This is very if a tree falls in a forest.
Yeah.
No one's there to hear it. It doesn't make a sound.
I would say not to, reduce the artistic passion you might have felt creating your own Pepe, Candice, but it has to go to at least the group chat, It has to be communally authored. I think there's something that sets memes apart is it can't just be one person. It has to be this group kind of way of working through it.
Yeah, because I feel like I really like what you're saying about y equals mx plus b, because what you're saying is that like the m and the b are kind of fixed. The x, maybe it's us, but the y is maybe the community impact of like you just don't know, but the x is kind of like it has to start somewhere. It's the catalyst. And so a part of me is like, when we talk about memes, are we really talking about memes? Or are we talking about the community surrounding memes? I don't know. Just a thought.
Wow, we're getting big.
I know. I'm sorry.
Right off the bat.
Well, it's interesting because one of the reasons I'm really into memes is everyone talks about like internet community. We all belong to them. We all, get things out of our communities that we're involved in. But like, what are they? What could you grab or look at or have as like the historical record of what this was once it's no longer in the present and it's memes? Like I guess you could have the text log of your group chat, but if you wanted to initiate someone new, if you wanted to, refer to it, unlock a memory in somebody else, you'd use a meme. And so these really sort of are the building blocks of community. They're the stuff that we build these online communities from.
Okay. And just to get back to Kate's really wonderful question, in order to define what a meme is, I'd also like to define what it isn't. So could we have like a group consensus here? So first off, do we consider a trend a meme? For example, like girl dinner.
I would. Maybe that's a liberal definition. Yeah.
I really like what you were saying, where it's just like we're all working off the same agreed premise, but then we change something. And it's like with that, it's like, okay, girl dinner, I can kind of see it where it's like we know the premise is sort of a really disparate collection of kind of sad food, but it doesn't but girl dinner isn't one food. So you can kind of change it up and call it girl dinner. So yeah, I can see that.
Okay. Are we considering TikTok audio as a meme?
I imagine the meme is what you do with the audio, right?
Yeah, it depends on the audio. And there's also this question too of like size of the meme as a unit. Because often like a TikTok trend that, people are contributing to, like the knee surgery one that had that little free jazz solo as the audio attached to it.
Yeah.
That whole thing is the meme. And then the audio itself you see get used on other posts. So some audios It has to have a certain momentum to it.
Okay.
These are tough questions. Gosh,
Yeah, and I'm glad we finally have the greatest minds on it.
I know. And then my last one is GIFs. Sorry, GIFs?
I'm
GIFs.
a hard
What are you
and
guys?
fast GIF girl, but
You're
I know.
GIF. Okay, well, I'm
GIF.
Jeff. Aiden, tiebreaker.
I'm going to go with GIF because I use the peanut butter all the time.
Right,
and I can't
right.
have the confusion.
Let's talk about this peanut butter. Oh my God.
I think if you say GIF or GIF is relative to how important peanut butter is in your life.
Oh, sure.
And for me, it's very important, so I have to differentiate.
Okay.
But I have to say to any listeners who might be alienated by that pronunciation of GIF, you have to accept GIF as well.
Right, yeah.
You know, both sides can come together here.
Okay, and are we considering GIFs/GIFs memes?
I'd say yeah, depending on the
yes.
context.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I now want to turn to a great Substack that you wrote, Aidan. It's called How to Categorize Memes, where you literally broke down memes by 3 categories. First is practicalities, how it was made, lore, what's the story behind it, and usage, how it's used. And I think what we should do is bring in a few memes that we've probably all seen and ask you, Aidan, how you would categorize them, because while memes to me are like inherently silly, as things like Brett Summer showed, they can also become kind of serious. They can radicalize certain viewpoints. They can become emblems of bigger movements, or they can literally disseminate news. Like, for example, it was via meme that I found out Trump got indicted, you know?
Yeah.
So let's start with actually one that we were talking about earlier. You've written a thesis on the distracted boyfriend meme. And so for those who haven't seen this meme, it's essentially a stock photo, I think that's where it came from, of a guy holding a girl's hand, but he's looking behind the girl at another, or looking behind himself at another woman passing, kind of very clearly like, I'm with my girlfriend, but that girl's hot. And basically text is put over these people to kind of signify someone doing one thing but being distracted by another. But Aidan, you can describe it much better. How would you, kind of using your theory, categorize this meme and why?
So my theory of meme categorization, I haven't published it academically. It's just a Substack. You just be posting.
Consider it publicly academically here.
Right on. Okay, so here's me defending my meme dissertation. My theory comes from stuff we talk about with the history of books. So say a novel, first in terms of its practicalities and form, this is a codex. It has a cover, it has pages. It's not a scroll. You're thumbing through the pages. It is a certain length. It has typefaces. It's in, let's say, English. And so that's certainly the first lens. But then inside of a book, you have things like chapters, index, the sense that this is a novel. It's one story. It's not a bunch of short stories. It's not poetry. It's fiction rather than nonfiction. So you have these structures that are a bit less concrete, you can touch them and hold them. And then kind of even deeper down, you have these structures that are oh, it's a mystery novel because, you have the detective and you have there was a murder and red herrings and, femme fatale and all this stuff. Or it's a comedy or it's, whatever other genre you could think of. And so looking at memes that way, like Distracted Boyfriend, I'd say the material physical thing it is it's a stock photograph and there's words being placed on top of it. And it's generally a still image. There's been these AI attempts to animate it, which to me feels ungodly.
Yes.
The devil was involved there. Not to judge too harshly. It's still a meme, but at the core, Distracted Boyfriend is a still image macro template where things are put on top of an image. It was taken in 2015 in Spain by a stock photographer named Antonio Guillem. And then in terms of sort of its genre, I sort of described it as a choosing meme. And there's a bunch of memes, especially object labeling ones that fall into this category. I think of the one where it's the car heading to the 2 exits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And it speeds off to the right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And just in Distracted Boyfriend, you have this choice being made by, the boyfriend in the center who the girlfriend, he's holding her hand. She's usually the option he's been with for a while. Maybe the socially acceptable option, maybe the judge in your head would tell you to choose that. And then the girl that he's ogling on the street in kind of a gross way is the new option. And in the car one, the road that you're on is signed as the old option. And then the turn off is the new option. And so using that structure, you can also say maybe the Brittany Broski kombucha girl one, where she's like kind of scolding the first one. And then she's like, oh, hey, I might like that. And she's into the second one, or the Drake posting one.
Yes.
And you have, that sort of usage coming out. And the thing that made me think Distracted Boyfriend was worth researching and writing my thesis about was this sense that it's like a meme that people who don't know memes will know. And in part because I was, working with a lot of older people and that was my audience, I had to sort of choose that. But then also it just so obviously to me tied into a lot of things that were happening in 2017 when it went viral. Like the first viral version, the guy was labeled as the youth. The girlfriend was capitalism. The new girl was socialism. And then you think too about the gender side of it. This is 2017, Me Too, and it's a picture of street harassment. And so how does that, what the image is, tie into what the text is and the ways people are assigning these sort of labels to it? So yeah, meme classification is more of an art than a science, I'd say. Yeah. But I'm sort of trying to think, what would the genres be in this vast field of memes? And often there's sort of this clashing going on where, if you want to read the image in favor of the girlfriend, which is the ethical reading, that it's not right to, cheat on your partner and stare at women on the street, then like in that first meme, you kind of have to then have the pro-capitalist reading as being with the girlfriend because she's labeled as capitalism.
Exactly. I think there's something actually really interesting that you just brought up, this idea of who do we cast ourselves as within the meme? Because I kind of always assumed that everyone casts themselves as the guy. But the way you guys are talking about it, I'm realizing like, oh, there is like an actual ethical quandary here where some people morally know who they are in the photo and they know who they actually are in the photo. I.e., if we're talking about the freeway exit, I always identify as freeway exit. But I don't know. Is that objective to be like everyone can align who they are in the meme, or is that actually the fun part of it? It's a bit rhetorical of like everyone can be something else.
I think that is the fun part of it. Yeah, it's so open-ended and it's almost like a Velcro strip almost. You sort of fasten yourself to it. There's different hooks for different people to kind of grab onto.
Memes are so self-referential and like build on themselves.
Yeah.
I love when a meme gets to the point that it like you would have had to have been deeply online for the past few days to like even understand what this new meme means, because it is so referential to like an earlier version of itself that people then built on.
It's that feeling too of like when you get a meme that you could only get because you followed, the last 5 days of back and forth discourse on Twitter. It feels like, oh my God, this thing is perfectly made for me. I fit perfectly into this little slot of the algorithm. And you
literally,
feel
it's like a reward for being online.
It's like it was all worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of rewards, I'd love to talk about another meme that I use all the time. It's from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it's Charlie with like the conspiracy board with the red strings all over the place. I think this meme is so interesting because it's coming from a TV show that I'm going to be really honest, I don't even watch. And yet I know where it's from. I use it all the time. It is a language. It is like a literal character in my vocabulary as well. But in your Substack, Aidan, you bring up how something like this might fall under one of your subcategories, which is called sourcing/relationship with reality. Can you tell us about that and how that meme might fall under that?
So since that meme is from a TV show, it comes kind of loaded with that It's Always Sunny vibe. And some people, I watch the show a lot, so I can't see Charlie without thinking of, memories from however many episodes where I've seen him do something. But for you who haven't watched it, that also, there still is a weight to it that it's from a show you haven't watched much. And so that kind of relationship to reality can be another kind of angle by which the meme is funny or by which the meme appeals to a group of people. And so you'll have memes like that, which come from a pre-existing fictional thing. Then you'll have memes that come from something that clearly is like only invented on the internet, like a lot of brain rot, a lot of surreal memes. And the appeal is like, you could only find something like this on TikTok. That's sort of this is so out there. But then you have memes that draw kind of explicitly not from a TV show that people have made or an online trend people have made, but from like something that's really happened in real life, like the memes that get made out of politicians or the memes that get made out of, celebrities at a certain event, where the meme becomes like inevitably a commentary on that and a way of kind of testing where you stand on that. So I think a lot of like the George Bush hearing about 9/11 memes in that form, and how I think on that you sort of have this dual cylinder thing. Both, everyone has an opinion on George Bush, and on 9/11 and so on and so forth. And it's a whole political question. But then you also have this like class of image that would like appear in a textbook or like in a documentary, like these famous, news photos. And that's one of those, famous photos like that. So I feel like the memes are playing with both those valences of it.
That's the first one I thought of when you were talking about, photos from politics. I knew that's exactly where my brain went. And then, Candice, you haven't seen Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I've seen a little bit of it, but it made me think of the fact, like, have you guys ever, when you're watching something and then you realize you come across the meme, you're like, oh, here's the meme. Like now for me, I watched Inside Out for the first time. And this is the TikTok audio where it's like, do you ever look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head? I had no idea what that was from. I'd seen it with like, especially pet videos. And then I was watching Inside Out and it's one of the first lines. And I was like, oh my God, the meme. It's the audio.
Yeah. It's Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV, but that's me. And I'm like literally a meme referencing a meme. That's literally exactly it. Yeah.
I was about to say that Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV meme was one I found out in the wild.
Yeah.
And I hadn't known it was going to be in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the movie.
Yeah.
I just knew there was some Leo meme, and then I saw it on the screen. I was like, whoa, wait, that's where it comes from.
The closest thing I can liken it to is like when you're walking or driving and you pass a restaurant that you've only ever ordered from on Seamless, and this is the first time seeing it in the wild. I've had this happen so much.
That's
and I'm like,
real.
Oh my God, there you are.
Yeah, you're like, Chili's is in the wild. Triple dipper. Yeah. No, that's so real. Maybe we round this out with something kind of evergreen. I really think this is probably one of the top 10 memes I would show the aliens when they come and get us, which is the "This is fine" meme. It's the cartoon dog sitting in a room that's on fire, and he's just like, "This is fine." I love this meme. I think it's so cute, and I kind of am so proud of it for still surviving into these days. But Aidan, what do you think about this meme, and like, does it fall under any of the subcategories you've been thinking about?
"This is fine" is one of my favorite memes too. I think it just will be eternally useful as long as we feel like we're living in a room that's on fire. It comes from a webcomic by this artist, Casey Green, who's a great webcomic artist, has done several others that became less big memes. And it involves this dog sitting with these flames, consuming the house around him, looking at a cup of coffee. And of course, as like an image, as a comic, it already makes an impact. It's already a piece of art. But as it turns into a meme, you suddenly have all these other people collaborating with Green in a way that, Green could never actually be aware of them collaborating because it's all on the internet. And so that feels very online in a way that the It's Always Sunny memes, like the Charlie one doesn't, or the George Bush one doesn't.
Yeah. Aidan, if you don't mind, I actually would love to kind of add on to your academic dissertation here, which is that Kate and I kind of want to present a meme theory of our own. Kate?
I feel like this, we're saying it now, and it's hubris to think we thought of something you hadn't already thought of.
Yeah.
But so it's definitely wrapped up.
No, it's very likely. Please do.
It's definitely wrapped up in some of what you said. But like, I'm thinking about the way that when someone who is in power, either like a brand or like a figure takes a meme, it starts using a meme, it kind of kills the meme. And so it kind of feels like the essence of a meme is that it is a bottom up type thing, that it is made by the people for the people. But, then you see something like Elon Musk being like, oh, I'm Doge now. And it's like been ruined. It's cringy. It's cheesy. It is disrespectful to Shiba Inus primarily. Can people in power create memes effectively? Like, is that even possible?
I think it's true that brands do tend to ruin memes, but sometimes, like Duolingo, for example, has been out there posting, and it hasn't been, poorly received by most people as far as I can tell. But there is that bottom upness, which ties back to memes being like a folk tradition in a way. It's not, there's certain kinds of art where, Charlie XCX puts out the album, that's the thing. Or, William Faulkner writes the book, that's the thing. But with memes, it has to sort of come up organically and not really have a named author or a person on top of it. Even though they'll sometimes be, we recognize Hawk Tuah Girl for her contributions and being the central figure. But, there's not really like a authorial top-down hierarchy thing to it. And so I think that because memes require on that really shared part rather than sort of just someone's, I being out there really loud and proud. It's more about the we. I think it is very hard for people in power to make memes. I do think, though, that Elon within his like twisted community and like naming the department through which he's like conducting an auto coup of the government, like after a meme, like is A testament to like how memes are important, and B also like within their own sphere, that's like a meme to them,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like people in power have a harder time making memes, but
Yeah.
I think in the same way, power uses folklore too. It can
You've
be.
just presented a really chilling thought, which is that Elon is taking a meme and ruining it. But even worse is Elon is taking a meme and that there is a group of people who finds it funny that he's doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's always a stance to it too, like in that sort of Schiffman definition, where for me, I think the reason he chose Doge as the name is that it's kind of an against institutional language and power stance, because every time a 75-year-old senator has to say the word Doge, there's like a million Groyper group chats that are, giggling, and it's, so that stance is baked into the meme that they get to exercise, and they feel like they're, going bottom to top, like they're resisting or whatever.
No, I mean, the thing is, I think the reason why I think me and Kate are right about this idea of like memes must be bottom up
is because we're always right, number one.
We're always right. And because I think that memes are not meant for people in power. How many times have you showed a meme to like someone older than you, someone who is literally the CEO of your company, and your first instinct is to explain it because you think like, oh, they're not going to get it. I'm going to make the argument that I don't think memes, like you're saying, Aidan, they are for the we, not the I. And therefore, if the I is, let's say, the Elon, let's say literally the Prime Minister of Canada or something like that, I think like the whole point of a meme is that it's kind of supposed to be exclusive but relatable. And I think when we talk about who are the most exclusive, it is those in power. Who are the most relatable? Definitely not them. And I think that's kind of where it comes from. And I like this idea that like memes, which are technically free, are kind of a resource for like us to talk to each other and to identify with each other as a community,
I'm just finding it so funny that in this conversation about memes, we've twice come close to being like, socialism, we have to go do socialism.
Yeah. That meme we referenced with the attractive boyfriend, that I made that. I actually made that myself and I sent it to all of you.
It's just
what are
like we
you
keep
about?
coming back to it.
Well, I think like you're saying, that's so deep in them is this idea that we're not doing this for money.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're doing it for clout. I mean, I guess for the three of us that our careers in some sense relate to being online and posting. And so there's kind of in the back, there's a monetary or sort of gaining position type of motivation. But in general, the internet is one of these and memes are one of these few areas of our lives where, it doesn't feel like it's governed by this scarcity and this you have to hustle or you have to win kind of mentality. And I think that's why it's meant a lot to a lot of people and why it feels so we instead of I, because a lot of the other art practices that are around, it's like, if you need to get into books, okay, you have to pay for it. But then it's like, oh, there's good books and bad books. There's a certain kind of strictness going on.
Yeah.
A value system. And memes, it's like everybody is here. Everybody can contribute. I think at the core of meme culture is this sort of sense that, we're here playing, we're here being our weirdest, most unmarketable selves together. And that's part of why brands also, don't post good.
That's true. That's true. I mean, look, there are literally thousands of more memes we can break down, but I think it makes more sense to come at this from another angle. So let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about memes as their own language, what happens when a meme goes wrong, and the memes that changed internet history as we know it. This episode is brought to you by Built. If you earn points on groceries, travel, and practically everything else you buy, why not consider earning points on one of the biggest monthly expenses, rent? Built changes the game by letting renters earn high-value points on rent. There's no cost to join Built. And as a member, You'll earn valuable points on rent and on your everyday spending. Built points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even the ones you haven't heard of. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world you can redeem your Built points toward. Points can also be redeemed towards a future rent payment and unique experiences that only Built members can access. So, if you're not earning points on rent, you have to ask yourself, why not? Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbuilt.com/ICYMI. That's joinbilt.com/ICYMI. Be sure to use joinbuilt.com/ICYMI to start earning points on your rent payments today.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
You found your person. Now let The Knot help you with everything else. The Knot connects you to the wedding inspo, vendors, venues, and planning tools you need to make your day totally you. Having helped plan 25 million weddings, we've got your back when it comes to every little detail like RSVPs, budgets, and more. Because your wedding comes to life with the connections that matter the most. Get started at theknot.com/audio. The Knot. Let's plan your wedding together.
And we're back.
So before the break, we spent a good amount of time trying to figure out and define what a meme is. But now I want to ask Aidan the second follow-up question. Why are memes important?
Memes are important in the same way any work of art is important. So, like, I take them as seriously as I take literature and art and poetry. I was first into poetry and wanted to, like, study it. And then I got into memes for the same reasons, because memes, people make them about stuff that's sad, stuff that's funny. People make memes when they're in love. People make memes when they really hate something. And you get this record of the emotions people feel, the thoughts they have, their responses to everything, which to me is just such an alive art form today. And it's something that, I grew up steeped into, as you guys did too. And to me, it's important to take them seriously because it's a way of taking ourselves and our generation seriously and the people around us seriously. And it's a way too, I think, of maybe rephrasing the history of the internet, which is so often told as like, oh, Mark Zuckerberg, like you saw The Social Network, he started this company and he was kind of a jerk, but he was also brilliant. Or, now we're going to have Lena Khan regulated, or we emphasize a lot the tech, the business, the government side of it. But the way most of us really experience the internet and learn about it and feel it is through interactions with each other. And memes are kind of the most visible, charismatic part of that. Like I always think of people talk about like charismatic fauna, like giant pandas, right? So there might also be like slugs that are endangered in the same ecosystem, but people remember the pandas. And to me, memes are the pandas of the internet ecosystem. They sort of mark these moments in time, and I think really like taking memes seriously and telling their history and, making it normal to like in the same way that we have like film bros who are on Letterboxd being obnoxious. Like I hope history might remember me as one of the first meme bros.
Yeah. But what you're saying is so true about when we talk about the internet, we're talking about the people who are like the CEOs of the companies. But the only reason any of those platforms are valuable at all is because of what we all do on it and the memes that we make. And yeah, so we talked about in the beginning that memes were kind of a coping mechanism for me. That Adele meme made me laugh. It released tension. It was, it's silly, it's small, but it's also not. It was super helpful. Do you, Aidan, have any comfort memes that come to mind, like ones that you really turn to or that, I don't know, in your time of need, they were there?
I'd say for me, a big comfort meme is Big Chungus. I like to return to that one. I like to return to animal memes and also like the surreal, bizarre memes. Because I think one of those, like I think of rotating fish or vertikal rotierender Fisch, which is like the big German meme right now that's sort of circulating. First of all, it's in German, so I don't understand it. But it's just so surreal and bizarre that it totally like jolts me out of the world I'm living in and gives me a space to rest. And so I love the surreal memes. Those are my comfort food that I'll, just spend hours scrolling and kind of come out of it having mentally been somewhere else and mentally been with people who you just want to laugh at it uncontrollably. That's the best part to me.
Do you notice a difference in the types of memes in different countries or different cultures?
Yeah, I'm trying to do a TikTok series about that right now. And in a way, it's very much like importing a basic from like literary studies. People have always been like, how is a German novel different from an English novel or, a Chinese novel? And how do different historical moments or linguistic things that are different between languages inform it? And I think often with the German memes, they're very dense and there's a lot of like linguistic jokes going on, which are in the German. But they also, certain platforms are more popular in certain countries. The next video I'm going to make is about these Arabic language memes. And I'm realizing with these videos, I can kind of chain them in that I'll like make a German language meme video and then people will comment, hey, I'm from Tunisia. Here's like this meme you should cover. And so it's been very cool to work that way. But I do see differences. And at the same time, you see these sort of like international journeys of memes. Like in the Arabic memes I want to make a video about, there's the big floppa cat, which was big on
say more please.
Big floppa, big in like the late 2010s as like an English language meme. But the cat is in, I believe, Russia or was in, I think, like the Shiba Inu that was Doge. It's sadly passed on since then. Anyways, seeing this, like a decade after I first saw it on like American Instagram showing up in an Arabic language brain rot TikTok, you see that memes really unite people around the world. And while there are local spins, there's also these moments of commonality and coming together. And that's another way memes are such a special art form of our times, in that like you can study German novels. Like you could say Sorrows of Young Werther or something influenced other coming of age books, but it's not like as immediate the way a vertical rotating German fish meme can the next day, some meme lord living in Brooklyn can post it on his, TikTok. And so you have this rapid fire influence coming back and forth and this ability for people around the world to laugh and be together.
Yeah. I mean, this is not like, when you're talking, the stuff you're saying is very dense in a good way. Like there's so much information in there. And I'm like, this is going to be a whole class at some point, because there are so many memes that are so contingent on understanding other parts of the internet. And because we've grown up with it, we have that information and we have that context. But I'm thinking even in like 10, 20 years, I mean, maybe this is already happening, because I'm thinking of like the really early memes like Success Baby or like Overly Attached Girlfriend, things like that. Luckily, those are pretty simple because it's in the early days, but those are going to mean nothing to sort of Generation Beta who are currently being born as of January.
Yeah, it's already such an old tradition I'm like 26, so I'm probably, the earliest memes were when I was on Farmville with my dad, on Facebook. So I kind of grew up with them. But I think too, like there's all these allegations that Gen Alpha can't read. And like, maybe that's true. Maybe they don't like books, but they are doing like, they can learn critical thinking, they can learn, media literacy, sort of thinking about the deeper things that books expose you to, whether it's other cultures, whether it's, sort of human struggles and stuff through memes. This is sort of a weighty group of texts, I don't know, in and of themselves.
I kind of like what you're saying, because now I'm realizing that memes kind of are their own language. The way that you are kind of talking about it as a tradition, it literally makes me think like, oh, if this was in a department, it should be in like the classics department where you're learning like, languages, because there is something about the way that is universal, the way that math is universal, of like, I totally know what you mean, where it's like, I will see memes where the text is a different language, but I totally recognize it as like the butterfly meme. And I'm just kind of like, I know what they're trying to say. Like, I get the punchline. I just don't know the setup. And there is something there about the way that like memes can kind of transcend country lines, but also language, but also like, I don't know, political division, but also just kind of like the way that we view the world. And I think there's something really nice there about, I don't know, being a curator of memes. That's like what I feel I'm coming out of this episode with. The fact that like I feel like you've taken us through like a Met Gala of just like memes, as a curator.
And hopefully there is a Met Gala of memes IRL in the years to come.
Yeah.
Okay, but before we go, Aidan, I really want to know, what is your, just if you had to pick one meme, maybe desert island meme, most influential meme, what is that meme that you'll be holding on to?
It's got to be Wojak.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got into Wojak in like 2019, 2020.
Can you explain a little bit what Wojak is?
So Wojak started out as a 4chan meme, a little bit like Pepe. It's a picture of, just black line, white space drawing of a guy's face. And he sort of has this wistful, I've compared it to the Mona Lisa smile type of expression. And what people would do on 4chan is they'd use it a little like Pepe. He'd represent, the anonymous average user. And then unlike Pepe, or even to a higher degree than Pepe, they started, customizing it. So Wojak would wear, a specific style of outfit, or his facial expression would change. And they used it then to like represent every possible worldview that sort of could be, you'd have a communist Wojak, you'd have a, authoritarian Wojak. And one of my favorite early ones was this country feels meme trend where they'd have Wojak on the computer surrounded by different things, and it would be different countries. So it would be a different food, a different, wall hanging. And some of these were wholesome. Some of them were definitely not because it's 4chan. But the other reason I like Wojak, besides that sort of range of things it illustrates, and it's just one of these ubiquitous memes that's everywhere, is that 2019, 2020 moment where you have all these Wojak comics formats kind of emerge. And a lot of them involve kind of for the first time female Wojaks prominently placed in it. And what I loved about those 2019, 2020 kind of crop of Wojaks was the way that they took this kind of right-wing coded thing and like playing with it ironically made it into something that was more for everybody, because a meme never has a singular kind of unitary meaning. And I don't think every meme can be reclaimed or whatever in that way. I don't think Pepe, it's just too much has been done there. But I like seeing Wojak lore's kind of evolution. And as a way of, expressing the world, it's such a flexible, it's a whole language in and of itself. You have a Wojak for every possible position on anything, any possible role, any possible kind of thing where you might compare or ponder. There's a Wojak for it. And it's such a flexible, playful tradition that you can spin the way you need it to be spun.
Okay, that's the show. I want to thank Aidan Walker for joining us on today's episode. You can find Aidan on his Substack, How to Do Things with Memes, and on TikTok at Aidan, etc. We'll be back in your feed on Saturday, so definitely subscribe. That way, you never miss an episode. Leave us a rating and a review in Apple or Spotify, and tell your friends about us. You can follow us on Twitter at ICYMI_pod, and you can always drop us a note at ICYMI@slate.com.
ICYMI is produced by Alexandra Botti, Candice Lim, and me, Kate Lindsay. Daisy Rosario is our senior supervising producer, and Hillary Fry is Slate's editor-in-chief. See you online.
Or while distracting the boyfriend. It's always fun to dive into the latest rumors, like who's dating who, and who will be on the next season of our favorite show. Well, here's one rumor to squash: the idea that Discover isn't widely accepted. Truth is, Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. That means it's accepted basically anywhere across the country. Don't pay attention to every rumor out there, but remember, it does pay to discover, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard.